Hi, my name is Aurelius, and 2023 was a crazy year for movies, especially for blockbusters. I mean, some people are calling it the year of the flopbusters because almost every blockbuster movie flopped, didn't make money at the box office, which is terrible. But, and also the MCU movies, those were there were three MCU movies that came out in 2023. Only one of them made a profit. The other two didn't even break even. And the Marvels, like, bombed, like, lost over, I think, over $100 million. That's terrible. And one thing I've been noticing is a big trend in 2023 is a lot of people have been dissing Marvel essentially now, like Disney, Marvel, and all that. And so I thought to myself, why don't we go back and remember the glory days of the MCU? Why don't we go back and let's remember the MCU? So last time I did a video, last video in this entry, I did Iron Man, and today I did the Incredible Hulk. And so today we're gonna take a look at the Incredible Hulk. So I rewatched it again today. I do want to go ahead and mention spoilers for the Incredible Hulk. I'm not going to hold back on spoilers or anything like that. So you've been warned. If you haven't seen the movie, and you don't care about spoilers, then that's fine. If you don't want to see, if you care about spoilers and you haven't seen the movie, go watch the movie. So yeah, so the black sheep of the MCU, right? That's the Incredible Hulk, because the tone was so different than anything else, and the Hulk was recasted by the Avengers. So this one, for most people, just doesn't even exist, right? This is the movie that most people just kind of forget that's actually in the MCU. So I liked it. I enjoyed it. One big thing about this movie, though, is that it's a character study, right? If you've ever, I don't know, if you've ever seen anything with Edward Norton in it, this movie, I think, really does feel more like an Edward Norton movie than an MCU movie. And the reason I say that is because Edward Norton is notorious for rewriting scripts. That's the reason why they didn't bring him back for the Hulk again, is because he wants to rewrite the scripts. He wants to go in there in the editing room and all that stuff. And this feels more like, I think, Fight Club, American History X. There's probably some others that I'm not thinking of off the top of my head right now that I've seen Edward Norton in. And this movie is like those movies where it's more of a character study, and you're kind of thinking of, like, it's more about Bruce Banner as a person, right? And how he's dealing with the Hulk, right? And he's trying to get rid of the Hulk, and he's pursuing that end. And then you're also on the General Ross side, he's trying to use it as a weapon. He wants to use the Hulk as a weapon, and he wants to reproduce it and all that stuff. So that is more or less the general gist of the movie there. It's not as much as of a superhero movie where you have this big villain and whatnot, and they do bring in Abomination at the end. But this one is more of a character study on Bruce Banner rather than it being superhero Marvel movie. And this one came out in 2008. This one, it came out shortly. They made Iron Man and The Incredible Hulk at about the same time. This one released a little bit after Iron Man. So these were the two movies that they were trying to figure out, what is the MCU gonna be? And Iron Man made more money than the Hulk, and they ended up wanting to do more of the Iron Man style stuff. And they had a lot of troubles with Edward Norton, and because he's more of an artist, which I'm not gonna be going trashing Marvel or anything like that. But Marvel is more of a machine, and to get as much as they've done out, which I really enjoy a lot of the MCU. So not trying to bash them here, but like they just don't mesh well, you know. Edward Norton wants to do more of his own thing, and Marvel's wants to do more of their own thing, and those things just do not mesh well together. So out of a 1 to 10, I didn't do this for the Iron Man, but I think for Iron Man, I probably would have put it at I'd say probably 8 out of 10 is probably what I'd say. For this movie, I'd probably put it at a 7 out of 10. For my number ranking, you know, I have a very specific mindset of how I do it. 9s and 10s are for like perfect movies, in my opinion. Like these are like, mwah. I don't have any complaints. These are like some of the most amazing movies. I mean, I do not have very many up in the 9s and 10s. 8s are like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Hence why Iron Man is up there as an 8. I don't think Iron Man could have gotten to a 9. I don't know if that would be possible. I don't have very many. I don't know if I really have any superhero movies at 9. I do not know. I'd have to look that up, but I'm not going to. So 7 and 8s are where most of the movies that I really enjoy fall into, and 8s are like upper level, and 7s are a little bit lower level. And this one is a bit more of a 7. I enjoyed it. It's great. Like it. It's not like really up there, but still. Now here's some thoughts that I have about the movie itself. As we're going through the movie, right? As I was watching the beginning section, right? It's like a kind of series of montages and whatnot. And I was thinking to myself, they should have done this as a Hulk origin story, to be honest. Yeah, because like when I first watched it, I didn't know what was going on, and going back, you know, watching it, and you're like, and you're getting the idea, right? You're getting the idea. There's flashes across the screen and all that of you know, of the incident, but I would have liked to have seen an actual movie based on the incident, what led up to it, and the immediate aftermath. I think that should have been what this movie was. This movie should have been the origin story movie. But alas, it is not. So that is a bit unfortunate. Another thing I thought was really interesting is this version of the Hulk. This is not something I've ever really seen in any other Hulk thing, but tying his transformation from Bruce Banner into the Hulk by his heart rate. There's two things I thought about that. First of all, I thought the idea was kind of cool. It's like, okay, yeah, you're putting in more of like a biological concept into that. Secondly, 200 beats per minute is really extreme. I don't think my heart rate has ever gone to 200. So, like, if that's in any sense reality, I think 180 should have been roughly up there. I don't think my heart's ever gotten up to like 200 beats per minute. That's kind of extreme. So like if this was reality and it was like 200, it's like pfft, you got no issues, dude. No issues. You can do like most things. 150, like if it would probably, I'd say maybe 170, 180, I think would have been that better point. Because 200 is such an extreme number, like really high up there. But I thought it was an interesting way of doing things. But yeah, because we don't see it anywhere else. And at the beginning, early in like the first transformation, so this is when the military is in Brazil and they're hunting down Bruce Banner there, and his this is like the first transformation. I thought it was really cool that they went into like a horror kind of thing with that, where they kind of treated it as you've got the military guys with like the scared guys, and then the Hulk, our hero, is the horror monster in the dark. And I thought that was a fun little thing that they did. Something I really don't see in Marvel movies specifically, really hardly at all. I think the only other time, and I could be wrong about this, but Multiverse of Madness, I think, is the only other time that I can think of. Also, going into the CGI, I think it looks fine. You know, I have no complaints here. I'm not a CGI connoisseur, so I don't think it looks bad at all, really. 2008 CGI, I swear, looks like it does not age, really, at all. Like it does. Like I probably wouldn't be surprised if they made that today. Okay, so another thing I want to go ahead and do is look at the box office numbers for 2023 Marvel movies, and then also kind of compare that to the Incredible Hulk, and see what those numbers look like. I think the Incredible Hulk was widely considered to be the biggest disappointment or the biggest flop of the MCU until 2023. So let's go over the numbers here real quick. So Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania had a budget of $200 million and grossed $476 million at the box office. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 had a budget of $250 million and had a worldwide gross of $845 million at the box office. And the Marvels had a budget of $275 million and grossed $205 million. Now, in the general rule of thumb here, if you're not familiar with box office numbers, it might sound like, oh well, except for the Marvels, didn't make like $70 million short, but the rest of them made a lot of money, right? Well, here's the deal, right? You have to do a little bit of math to find out exactly how this goes, because let's go with the Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, right? Budget of $200 million, right? And it made 476. It doubled its budget. Fantastic. Well, not really, because firstly, you've got a marketing budget that is not included in it. That's just the production budget. That's not the marketing budget. So in tech, and then also you have to double the worldwide gross, to see how much money it makes, because like half of that profit goes back to the theaters and like the distribution company, everything like that. So $400 million is $200 million that the studio gets back. So the rough estimate usually people will give, and this wasn't like the most accurate thing in the world, it's just to get an idea of if a movie was profitable or not. You're not going to get like exact math or anything like that and know exactly all the numbers, but this is just an estimate, right? It's 2.5, and that accounts for marketing costs as well as what the studio gets, or what the theaters take. So 2.5 times 200 million is about 500 million. Ant-Man 3 made 476 million. Did not break even. For Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Now, I believe I have seen some numbers. I do not recall them off the top of my head. I want to say Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 made a profit around 86 million or so, but I'm not a source on that. Don't take what I say as absolute truth. But 250, which would be 500. It's like $625 million. So that definitely made a profit. And of course, the Marvel's $275 million budget versus a $205 million box office. You can see why people are saying that was a massive flop, right? And The Incredible Hulk. So The Incredible Hulk, right, had a budget of $137 million. And it grossed worldwide $264 million, which is not fantastic. Adjusted for inflation, so these are going to be numbers adjusted for inflation. The budget would be $195 million, and the worldwide gross would equate to something around $376 million. So this was, I believe, the lowest grossing movie of the MCU, and it still beat out the Marvels before inflation, and after inflation you're looking at like $171 million more after inflation. with a smaller budget, mind you, as well. So it didn't exactly break even. Yeah, it didn't even break even. If you're going with the 2.5 math, it didn't even break even. So, and this is kind of, if you've ever wondered about like, why are people talking about these like that? It's like, you know, this is the thing, right? 476 million dollars for something like John Wick Chapter 4, which on a budget of $100 million, $476 million is like, we're making the cheddar cheese here, you know, but on a budget of $200 million, that just doesn't cut it, you know. And these movies are being made as with like them thinking that they're going to be billion-dollar hits, right? Disney is intending these to be billion-dollar hits, so they are investing 250, $275 million into these, expecting $1 billion to come back, $1 billion to come back, and it doesn't. And this is why we're the year of the flopbusters. This is it. This is it right here. So, but yeah, I mean, hey, you know, we've always got the Infinity Saga. So, but yeah, I think that'll do it for this video. If you watched The Incredible Hulk recently, what do you think of it? Do you think it deserves the hate it gets? Do you think it's better than people say? Is it underrated, overrated? Let me know in the comments down below. If you like this video, maybe give it a thumbs up or subscribe if you want to see more of these videos. It helps me know that you enjoy these videos and that I should keep making more of these. I do intend to, but who knows? No, I intend to do this throughout the rest of the year at the very, very least. So we will see you guys in the next video. Ta-ta.